सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. We had done just 2 webinars ago a webinar on the topic Memories, a Prison, and the approach at that time was how various memories keep us bound to worldly life. Pleasant memories make us desire more and more of those pleasures which we had enjoyed and are now remembering. Unpleasant memories make us fear the repetition of that kind of unpleasant episodes, and to live in fear is not good. Desire and fear are two kinds of constraining factors, and we are time and again tossed about between fear and desire. And both these originate from memories, it was pointed out. And if I had created a very dark picture of memories and had painted a very sad scenario of life itself, in this webinar, I begin with apologies. Life is not as bad as anybody could imagine. Life has its charm. Life has its beauty. As H.W. Longfellow had said in his very famous poem, A Psalm of Life, life is real, life is earnest, and the grave is not its goal. One should not imagine that, well, all life is finally about reaching the grave. No, and the grave is not its goal, he said. So this webinar is to cheer up everybody, even in the context of memories. We are going to now show how memories, in fact, are our friends. We do not dismiss the previous webinar, 232, but at the same time, we are here to admit that that is one side of the story. Just because with a knife a murder was committed, we are not here to throw away knives from all houses into the trash can, dustbin. A knife is so helpful in cutting fruits, in cutting vegetables. A knife is used of a different kind, though, even by surgeons to operate on a patient who has some problem. So, just like a knife can be used destructively as well as constructively, our memories have both a destructive and constructive sides to them. Therefore, with this, let me share with you a few very simple slides. I request Vibha Chaitanya to enable slide sharing because it says host has disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, Swami.
I guess I am not co-host today. Normally,
No, it
I
is.
am co-host.
Oh, yes. Oh,
So when I say
Mashallah.
first check again, or maybe I logged in from a different user ID.
No, Swami, now you can. I think by mistake another person was made co-host.
Oh, no problem at all. Here we are, all is well that ends well. So we go to the first slide and we seek the Grace of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva actually is known among his many names as Smarari. Smara means memory. Ari means enemy. However, in that particular context, Smara is Manmatha, Madana, Kamadeva. Kamadeva is called Smara because, going by what we said in the previous webinar, it is indeed the memories of pleasures enjoyed, if not in this life, pleasures enjoyed in the past life that we remember, and that memory of pleasure enjoyed becomes desire, and the most intense desires are represented by Cupid, that is Madan, Kamadev, Manmatha. Therefore, Lord Shiva is here to destroy those desires in us which weaken us, which make us fall from grace, which make us bound to the world. And Lord Shiva, who is Karuna Avatar, most compassionate, does not destroy the good memories, does not destroy such memories which are our true wealth. So we have today the 234th webinar in which we are going to see how memories are our wealth too. They are a prison at times. We need to be careful about that kind of memories or that kind of operation of the memories. The knife is the same. It's not that there is a separate knife for cutting vegetables and absolutely a different knife for killing. The same kitchen knife can be used to kill. Likewise, the same memories which cause in us desire or fear, with a bit of good handling, can turn into a wealth. This evening's webinar, Evening in India, is about memories being our wealth also. How can memories help us? Let us pick up something from Bhagavad Gita right away. In the Bhagavad Gita, the word memory, of course in Sanskrit, called smriti, comes several times, and two of the occasions which are very worth mentioning are from chapter 18, where, getting freed from his debilitating confusion, Arjuna declares, Smritir Labdha. I got back my memory. Going by the last webinar where we called memories a prison, Arjuna's declaring he got back his memory would mean he went back into prison. But no, the word smriti is in a complementary sense here. Smritir labdha, nashto mohaha. He was overly attached to some narrow concepts. In fact, he was attached to an unnecessary sense of I, me, and my. His swajana moha. Kauravas are my people, Pandavas are my people, these teachers are my people, these soldiers are my people. This my went out of proportion when it is a matter of choosing between this I, me, and my and dharma. He had to go for dharma, and he was unable to see that. Therefore, at the end, 73, just 5 verses before Bhagavad Gita concludes, Sri Krishna's teaching makes Arjuna get so unburdened of his problems. He says, Nashto mohaha, my ill-placed compassion, misplaced judgments, wrong conclusions, constituting moha, a certain delusion, is gone. And saying so, he further declares, Smritihi labdha. I now clearly remember some of the most beautiful moral teachings that my teachers, Dronacharya, Kripacharya, and maybe a couple of others, had taught him. He remembers the clear sense of right and wrong that he had derived or absorbed from scriptural study. You and I study from teachers, we learn from books, and the biggest book is life itself. Learn from the book of life. In life, we learn seeing situations, seeing sometimes others' mistakes. And what we saw, what we learned, perhaps was 20 years ago. And if our memories are working properly, now, today, after 20 years, we remember, I wouldn't do that. One of my friends did that and got into deep trouble. I would not do it. See how memory helps. If one were to forget the lessons that one had learnt, one would act in a silly manner. Not only chapter 18, another reference is worth mentioning in chapter 10, Vibhuti Yoga, where Sri Krishna goes on saying in every category, such and such things are his own special expression. I am Himalayas among mountains. I am Ganga among rivers. I am Uchchaishravas among horses. I am Vasudeva himself among descendants of Vrishni, that is Krishna's lineage. I am Dhananjaya Arjuna among Pandavas, and so on and so forth. Then a place comes where he has to say, spell out what in women deserves to be looked at as divine. And he gives a glowing compliment to women, Narinam. He says, in every woman, I have put certain divine qualities. So when you welcome a daughter-in-law home, remember God has sent us this daughter-in-law with these seven treasures. Kirtihi, Shrihi, Vak, Smritihi, Medha, Dhritihi, Kshama. When a woman especially is well educated, well trained, she has imbibed whatever teachings from her family members, from another great woman, her mother, and then her father, her brothers, her teachers, etc. And then she is a daughter-in-law in another family. She walks in with seven forms of wealth, according to Bhagavad Gita. She brings into the new home with her Kirti. Already there are vibrations about her which bring good name. Shrihi, physical and other forms of wealth. Vak, ability to speak rightly, right thing at the right time. Medha, ability to remember the books, the holy books. Dhritihi, no family life is a bed of roses. When there are hardships, the daughter-in-law or your daughter who goes, let's say, to another family in the old family structure. Today, son and daughter, daughter-in-law, many times it has become more and more common. They may be living physically in a separate house too. Social structures have undergone some change, does not matter. But Medha is Grantha Dharana Shakti. Dhruti is ability to hold, not let go of values. Stay with good values. Do be a bit creative. When things look difficult, don't give up so soon. As the famous saying goes, you know, When the going gets tough, the tough gets to get going, right? So, Riti, Dharana, Kshama is at the right time being able to forgive. I have deliberately take the Smriti as the last one. Smriti means memory, memory of good things that she had learned from life. Medha is memory of shlokas and mantras and the dictates or the statements in the holy books. Smriti is on a deeper level. Smriti is praised as the divine manifestation, especially in women. In fact, these apply to men also, but Sri Krishna chooses to specially attach them to women, probably looking at the family structures. Woman is rightly called homemaker. The woman, Grahini, makes the Graha. In order to hold together the family, the woman, the elderly or young one, plays a very vital role. Therefore, Sri Krishna uses the word Smriti and I am that in women. Nari Nam Smriti Asmi. The word Smriti appears in this shloka. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita calls memories a wealth, a divine estate, a divine virtue. Upanishads endorse the same teaching. In Kathopanishad, the young boy Nachiketa is very embarrassed when his father, in an angry mood, says to him, I give you to Yamadharmaraj. I give you to Yama. And though he said it out of unbearable anger, the words that had come out of him, the father of Nachiketa, now had to be followed. That means Nachiketa has to pack up and go to Yama. And that is not a pleasant thing. So he stands there dazed and shocked and he reflects. In the very first chapter, in the very first Valli, within 6 mantras, you have this line Nachiketa thinking over Anupashya yatha purve. This is not a time to lose heart. I must think of how eminent people purve in the past acted in such circumstances. Pratipashya tatha apare. And look again, anupashya, pratipashya both mean take a look, remember. Remember how in recent times also certain eminent people set great examples for conduct, for behavior. Therefore, whether it is of ladies and men of several centuries ago or extraordinary women and men of our own present times, how they faced situations, scenarios, and they stood by noble values. I need to remember. Though the word used is anupashya, look, technically and really, it is remembering. We in the ashrams also, when we face certain difficulties, try to remember how our gurus acted. Of late, I am increasingly remembering the shining, living examples that Swami Chinmayananji had laid while handling a lot of matters. He was such a dynamo. He was such a extra dynamic person, was teaching many classes every day and also handling a lot of administration, finance, and numerous social, political issues around him, traveling across the world, always standing by noble values. I had an association of 13 years with him. On many occasions, I could see him from close quarters. Even I had the opportunity couple of times to be with him, just he and I, in a room and I had asked some personal questions, and his answers were never compromising with values. They were very practical rather than saying, once in a while you can tell a lie. No. Once in a while, shut your eyes to injustice. No. On the contrary, he said, look, this is where you have to be careful. Do that. Do not hesitate. And don't go back from your decision. Once he said to me in a certain ticklish matter, do not go back on your decision. What you did was right. Now, because some people are putting emotional pressure on you, don't step back, he said to me. And once when I complained to him, because at a young age of 34, he had made me the resident Acharya of a certain Vedanta course, and it was getting very tough within a few months. I wrote to him, I am so young and there are many senior Swamis. Why did you not give this responsibility to one of them? Why did you make me the Acharya? And he wrote a handwritten letter in which he said, everybody goes through such times where your spirits sink, but don't yield. Just take a break. Within a couple of days, you will rise again. You will regain your confidence. And he gave the analogy, I remember. He wrote, sickness, fever, cold, cough, etc., come to everybody. But after a couple of days, they go. So just wait. And when you regain your energy and poise, continue to move. Chase your goal of life. Something like that. Words are a bit different. So these are all anupashya, pratipashya. Remember how your noble teachers faced scenarios, advised you. So though the word is pashya, what it means is smara. Remember, remember. And in Chandogya Upanishad, Sanat Kumara, while this first one was from Kathopanishad, Nachiketa, everybody knows, he is a hero, the hero of Kathopanishad. In Chandogya Upanishad, Sanat Kumara teaches Narada some 15 attributes which need to be developed within us. And one of them is smara. Smara again means smriti. Smriti, if you remember what you had studied, if you had remembered what you had deeply appreciated maybe during a satsang or from any other sources, then you will be able to assess a situation, take the right decision, and go for the right action. In that context, one of them, in fact, out of the 15, the 13th one, starting with Nama and Vak and then Sankalpa, Chitta, and so on, he comes to the 13th inner potential. All of us have it within us, the ability to remember. And we then go ahead. If we don't remember, very dangerous. I must add, a while ago I told you how Arjuna happily announces, I got back my memory. There itself I should have added, but never mind, a bit late. In the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna speaks in such tone of exhorting all of us, warning all of us. If you mess up your life, eating indiscriminately, talking indiscriminately, indulging in pleasures indiscriminately, dealing with money and other matters in a careless manner, what happens? ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः संगस्तेषु उपजायते संगात् संजायते कामः कामात् क्रोधो विजायते. Everybody knows the steps of Paul, and there also the word smriti comes. Krodhat bhavati sammohah, sammohat smriti vibhramaha. When you get more and more attached to pleasure and enjoyment and possession and power, and for that sake you make more and more compromises, smriti bhramsha. Smriti Brahmshat Buddhinashaha, says Sri Krishna. In verses 62 and 63, there is that wonderful teaching of how you and I can fall, and otherwise, if we are wise, how we can go up the staircase too. Do you want to fall? Do you want to rise? It's our choice. Sammohat smriti vibramaha, smriti bhramshat buddhinashaha, buddhinashat pranashyati. I'll add it in that slide on Gita after I close this. It is wonderful contrast. When you and I get deluded, our memory fails. And that destroys our buddhi, viveka bhava. And when viveka is not there, aviveki messes up, ruins her or his life. So, smara in Chandogya Upanishad. Thus, different scriptures, Gita, Upanishad, and one more before we close, Valmiki Ramayana. Valmiki Ramayana is a wonderful classic of 24,000 shlokas. It is said that if you are to take the first letter of every thousand, there are 24,000 shlokas, first letter of every thousand, only for one letter, and you get 24 letters. You will be amazed. Those 24 letters make the Gayatri mantra. Tat savitur varenyam bhargo devasya dhimahi dhiyo yo na prachodayat. In a manner of counting, it is exactly 24. Otherwise, you may find it is 23. But one of the letters has to be split. So 24, it's called Gayatri Ramayana. That is, take those 24 shlokas, the first letter of which provide one letter each of the Gayatri. So those 24 shlokas can be separately kept and we can study them. Those 24 shlokas are a Ramayana by themselves. Anyway, Valmiki Ramayana begins with the shloka Tapaswadhyaya Niratam Tapasvi Vagvidamvaram Naradam Paripapricha Valmikir Munipunghavam. Valmiki asked Narada, who had come down one fine morning to the latter's or the former's ashram, Valmiki's ashram. So Narada rarely visits your place. If he has come, you must grab the opportunity and ask him something of value. So Valmiki does not waste time. He says to Narada, please tell me, Naradam Paripapracha Kaha Valmiki. What does he ask? So in the very second shloka of the entire Valmiki Ramayana running into 24,000 shlokas, the second shloka, that is first chapter, that is Balakanda, then first Sarga, and then second Shloka. Onvasmin sampratam loke gunavan kascha viryavan dharmajnascha kritajnascha satyavakyo dridhavrataha. Some two or three shlokas are put in the mouth of Valmiki. By Valmiki himself, he is the Granthakarta and he is a character also here and there in the Valmiki Ramayana. So what is his question? Asmin sampratam loke, asmin loke, in this world, sampratam, at this moment, as you and I have met here at this ashram, sampratam, at this time, kaha gunavan, is there somebody in whom you find all the gunas, virtues? Viryavan, who is extremely strong and powerful. Dharmajnaha, who knows dharma, who knows what is good for the country, what is good for any situation, what is good for himself, dharma. Then comes the word which indirectly shows the value of memory. That is kritajnaha. And then, of course, there is a fourth line, Satyavakya Dridavrataha. That first portion, if you see, some of you may have a regret. Oh, I have never studied Valmiki Ramayana. Stop regretting now. Study the first 20 verses of those 24,000 chandas. The whole Ramayana is in their 20 verses. In fact, the whole Ramayana is in the whole first sarga. In the first 20 verses, there is a very beautiful part where Dasharatha thinks of coronating, thinks of making Rama the crown prince. It comes up to there. Then the whole Ramayana is given in that sarga. Prathame sarge Ramayanam Purnataha Dattam. Therefore, there are many homes even today in this world. Hindus spread across the world, they read that famous small Ramayana, the first Mula Ramayana, it is called. And the rest of the whole Valmiki Ramayana, in a sense, is an expansion in a lot of detail. So, how does the word Kritajna represent memory? Kritajna means grateful. Kritajna means Kritam Janati. If somebody has helped you somewhere, you remember what he or she has done for you. Maybe yesterday, maybe last year, maybe 30 years ago, in your hard times, when you are going through tough times, it was this sister-in-law, it was that uncle, it was that teacher at your school who himself was very poor but gave you 10 rupees to pay the examination fees. He himself had a hard time making the two ends meet. In our life, sometimes we find occasions where we can't believe somebody is helping us without helping themselves. They let go of their comfort and give us help in various ways, financially, or giving some valuable counsel at the right time. So, Kritajna, you can never be grateful unless you have memory working in you. So, to be grateful means you are an integrated personality. To be ungrateful means there is something terribly wrong with your moral personality. The moral fiber in you has become so weak. Therefore, today, not only in personal life, even in business, there is a whole field of inquiry, business ethics. Professors in India and abroad are engaged in exploring business ethics, ethics in politics, ethics in every field of every walk of life, but especially in business life. Jonathan Haidt, his name came up in a previous webinar. One of the participants gave that name. I checked on the Google and I was delighted to know Jonathan Haidt, Haidt, I guess, fairly young professor in New York University. He has written books on business ethics. So, unless you are following high standards of business ethics, the money you make will not give you happiness. It may not stay long also. In our own country, Tata's or Infosys, some companies have got good name. People admire, people value those people. People admire the businessmen who are running the show over there because they are kritajnas. So Rama is described here, kritajna. The people who run a business going by high ethics, remember how their workers have worked, how the customers were, a source of inspiration. how the society made it all possible. Money doesn't come from the sky. It is the society. It is the clientele. It is a whole lot of people who have been part of the business. Therefore, they are kritajnas. And then that memory, that remembering how we are what we are today because of all these stakeholders, memory makes them launch programs, do gestures which serve those contributors. So today we have corporate social responsibility. So corporations owe to the society. They are responsible to give back to the society. There are laws passed by the parliament also. As many of you know in great detail, CSR, 2% of the profit of the company and some conditions if the profit is above certain value and so on. Chartered accountants have those rules on their fingertips. They will tell you what is the CSR law. But in so many ways, at family life also, husbands need to be grateful to wives for there were occasions where wives did so many sacrifices. Wives need to be grateful to husbands for the sacrifices the husbands made, children towards their parents. And a time comes when parents get old, and quite possibly, generally, the parents also have occasions to remember the kind gestures made by their daughters or sons for which they are grateful. Our life otherwise has no value if we live in lack of gratitude. But the point in this session is gratitude in a fully blossomed manner is possible if our memory is functioning well. Therefore, lastly, we have just this to say. How do memories help us? Memories help us be grateful, be responsible. And as a little elliptical graphic shows here, when we when we use memory in the right way, we don't regret the past, but we learn from it. And as the first bullet says, if we remember, for example, our past success, we can bear with grace any criticism coming towards us at the present time. Many a time, you and I face certain criticism or slant remark. Either somebody says it right in front of our face, or we hear that someone spoke rather insultingly about us. And there may be some truth also in whatever they said, because we also have our failures. That time, our heart may sink. That time, we may feel so unworthy about it. That time, we may feel, oh, I am no good. But then, even if there is some truth in what somebody said about us, we must save ourselves from going suicidal. We must save ourselves from thinking very low about ourselves. We must rather recognize whatever is true in that criticism, and learn from it, change ourselves. But how do we, first of all, save ourselves from deep sorrow in our bosom? Remember the good things you did. There is nobody on the earth who hasn't done some good. Remember your success. Remember your acts of charity. Remember there was a time when you were very hardworking, when you served your parents and elders, when you did what your teacher said to you. Maybe later on you became selfish, you became self centered, you became arrogant, maybe. Therefore, somebody highlighted that part. But there was a time when you were very obedient or very understanding, and you had done conscious good things as well as random acts of kindness. You had done. So memory comes in to help us balance the two. We hear something about us which is not all that complimentary, and it has some truth in it, and we are about to feel very low about ourselves. Then, if we remember, yeah, what he says is true, but I also had done a couple of such wonderful things, and in the light of it, I am a good person. So I am a bad person, I am a good person, balance out. At least we can regain certain equanimity to then decide what we must do. The same way, collectively also, should we not learn from history? I'm now talking about collective memory, the whole community, all citizens of a country. We should learn from history by remembering what had happened in the past. I'm not a historian, nor do I need to give examples of any particular kind, but examples come towards us every now and then in various contexts, politically or economically, or in sports, or in science, or in administration, in 100 departments of life. Collectively, suppose a community or all the citizens of a country had made a mistake. Then remembering, oh, last time we were unwise. We did not judge properly. We better be careful this time. That's possible through smara, smriti, smarana, or remembering. In this way, in this simple webinar, without really much technicalities being involved, we have looked at how memories can cheer us up. They can make us cheerful. They can bring to us new strength. They can save us from making wrong judgments. Memory of many kinds have their own positive and bright side. Maybe understand thus the two-sided nature of memories and not condemn them nor get caught in them. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, please feel free to remember any question that had come to you through the talk. There also remember. If you had thought of a question and now I wanted to ask but forgot what was that can happen in a long lecture. Hopefully you remember. Mullah Nasruddin was at his office and he thought of something and said, I should not forget this. So he tied a thread to his finger so that he would remember, looking at the thread, he would remember whatever he was afraid of forgetting. It was 4:30, everybody was leaving the office, and then he saw the thread and said, why did I tie this thread? He forgot why he tied the thread. Then, in this wonderful joke, Mullah Nasruddin said, until I remember why I tied this thread, I am not going to leave the office. Everybody left. He sat and sat and sat, and 7 o'clock he remembered that that morning he had promised his wife he would come home early. You know. So if your memory fails, it's very dangerous. Oh, sure. Please feel free to ask a question. Where are the opening batsmen who generally shoot a question right away? Please turn your mic on and speak, of course. So nice to see you, Saraswati ji. After a long time, you have shown up, Saras Reddy. And a couple of others also have shown up today after a long time. Welcome to all those who, for whatever reasons, were not taking part for some time. In the chat box, I am checking. No, there is no question in the chat box.
Swamiji, Hari Om Swamiji, this is
Yes,
Pravina.
Pravina.
So,
Tell me.
Swamiji, similarly as a collective memory, similarly collective intellect
Yes.
is also works beneficially, right, Swamiji?
True, yeah. Collective intellect, yeah.
And also
Collective
one thing
intellect and some kind of intellect is thought processes. If thought processes sort of align with each other, then that whole, collective entity can be very strong. Their strength of a nation, strength of a community, strength of any professional group becomes so good. What they say, there is one expression in the corporate world. It's called shared vision. In management classics they use shared vision. A bunch of very eminent scientists, but each has his own vision, and then there's a problem. Though they are otherwise exceptionally bright. Then there is another bunch of scientists in another company, let us say, who are not as eminent as this first one, but they have a shared vision. Then they work together and they produce amazing results. So I guess that's what you meant. Did you want to say something?
Yeah. So one more thing, Swamiji, that I heard from one of this psychology team is that during COVID time,
Yes.
Last 2 years, that collective, because there's so many people got affected, lost their loved ones, or so many ways, financial, all that.
Correct.
That collective grieving also affects people. So you just, even though if it didn't happen personally, but that collective grieving, you need to be mindful of why you feel kind of heavy or other expressions.
So you need to be mindful means who you are
as a person, there are individually I might feel down or kind of some kind of in the background, that grieving.
Yeah.
Because there's so much is happening in the world, so many people affected.
Yes.
Because of this pandemic, that collective grieving part, you need to acknowledge and then kind of move on or take the steps.
Yes. That's true. How interesting how collectively and individually are so intimately connected.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So we again take a look. Let me check again. Chat box. Nimish has something to say from Dehradun, I guess. It was beautiful to hear your experience with Swami Chinmayanandaji. Thank you. Oh, yes. Yeah, I have several pleasant memories, very valuable to me. Unfortunately, that letter I lost somehow, changing, moving places in those days. I had at least 2 handwritten letters that he sent to me. Both I have lost. That what to do. If it were modern times, we would have scanned it and uploaded it, and somewhere in the cloud it would be available. In olden days, it was all physical papers, and some file got misplaced.
Vedanta says living present. And her memory is living in past. So where is that thin line? Please.
Oh, could not hear you. Where is that? Okay. Did someone ask a question? I didn't hear very well.
It was not clear who is speaking.
Correct. It was not clear who spoke also. Does not matter.
Bijurji's question, his mic is on.
Yeah, his box also got illumined several times. I noticed the border get illumined. Yellowish green they become.
Bijurji has any question?
Swamiji, I
Ah.
wanted to check out. There is something wrong with my mobile since I connected with mobile.
Oh,
So-
but we are hearing you clearly.
Yeah. We were just discussing, and it turned out that in Vedanta, we always say that we must live in present.
Yeah.
Then how do we connect it with the past so intimately?
Correct.
Should we? And it's something like if I got, let's say, a lot of trophies from my past,
Yeah.
I sometimes I felt that if I keep them, then I am always reminded of the past, which were of course good times, and but it doesn't help me to really go and do the best in the future.
Yeah.
So that is a little bit of confusion in my mind.
Yeah. So living in the present is with special reference or specific reference to thoughts of the past or thoughts of the future that sort of interfere in our work. Whereas what we have talked about in this evening's webinar is about not thoughts of the past that interfere, but thoughts of the past that energizes. See, very clearly you and I can see. Suppose I remember how two or three teachers during my college days were very critical of me. It sort of makes me sad that such and such teacher did not understand me, whatever. Whereas if I remember another person who really encouraged me, it gives me fresh energy. Therefore, it's just in the context of just take it this way. Memories that distract us, memories that weaken us, memories that frighten us, that memories that take away our confidence. Such memories are to be avoided. Then you are living in the present. But in no way it means living in the present to an absolute extent where you also remove memories that bring new hope. Therefore, I forgot to touch upon in the synopsis that we sent to everybody, there was a second line, don't throw the baby along with the bath water. So, the bath water has to be thrown away from the tub, but the baby has to be saved, carefully lifted. Likewise, the negative memories have to be thrown away, but positive memories have to be nurtured, carefully kept. So if somebody, let us say, puts the picture of someone who had inspired on the on the wall, we would not say, yeah, this is all past. That man is dead 12 years ago. Take that picture out. You can't say. On the contrary, if the picture of someone, I have an aunt, for example, who looked at a certain great dramatist in Karnataka with the tremendous gratitude. So in her house, you go in Manipal, first you see the picture of that K.V. Subbanna, that's his name. He was a Max Award winner, but award and all, put aside. This K.V. Subbanna helped my aunt grow in her writing career so much. She has his picture there. He died to 2005, it is 18 years back. But just last time I had gone to Manipal, went there to have a cup of coffee. Subarna's picture is there. And I asked my aunt, she says, I am ever grateful to Mr. Subarna. He encouraged me to write. He encouraged, and later she became a very well-known writer, this aunt of mine. Therefore, things that give us positive energy are not implied, not meant in the scope of that statement, live in the present. Live in the present has a specific reference to thoughts of the past and future that weaken us. This is sometimes limitation of the language, and it has to be so. Sometimes if we want to, like legal statements, bring too many classes, nobody would read our message. The message has to be crisp. And only upon being asked, we provide the details.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Welcome, welcome. Wonderful. It looks like whenever we take this kind of topics, simple day-to-day life topics, there is more response also. It seems to me that these webinars are serving a very different purpose than what Gita and Upanishad classes with Shankara, Bhashya, etc. are doing. So let's run both these on both these tracks. Something simpler, human values, daily life stuff, and those deeper spiritual texts. All right.
Thank you so much.
May Shiva bless all of you. Namaste. Good night to everybody in India. Good day.